thinking, $50 or something like that is what I was thinking. And he was saying, oh yeah, I wish you had told me, and kind of a whiny voice, and this man with a whiny voice, and it was all over the phone. And so again, I said, well, Don, I'm sure there's some way that this can work out. I feel I need some kind of reimbursement since I was going to get money for this. And he said, well, I suppose I could send you $50. That would help out. And so I went ahead and went along with that deal. And it seemed that on the phone there I was really, pacing the conversation and noticing his tone and, like I say, giving him a chance to make a decision, to help remedy the situation.
Okay, actually, Ali did two things underneath everything. She made she gave an embedded command. We can work this out.
Right.
I heard that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I wonder if there's a possibility that we can work this out.
Right.
Okay, so we can work this out was there in the message, and then and she slipped in reimbursement underneath everything. Mm-hmm. So then finally, she came around to reimbursement. Actually, it already had been fitted in there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And when he first told me that he gave it away, I was shocked, but I didn't fly off the handle with it or anything. I was like, oh no, you're kidding! Making it.
Okay, so made it light of it, kidding.
Right.
A joke a little bit, kind of lighten it up a little.
Yeah,
That's
to
good.
lighten it, to let it be a situation that can be worked out. Instead of something that's horrible and I lose and you win, or that this happened. Well, we'll work it out.
Okay, excellent. We can work this out.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I've got another one.
Okay.
Driving through Texas. I saw a sign in Texas that says, "Don't mess with Texas. $10,000 to $1,000 fine for littering." So it's like, well, sure, let me get a fine. It's fine. So I was thinking, in Washington they have signs that say, "Keep Washington clean."
Oh, wonderful.
And they've got a nice line drawn on Washington and a little picture of a trash can.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it's leaving people resourceful.
Yeah.
It's about the act of cleanliness rather than mess.
Yeah.
Don't you mess this up.
Right.
Okay.
And mess with Texas also brings up for me, brawls in the bar.
Yes, right. Yeah, don't.
And then to say that it's 10,000 fine. Like fine next to the.
Yeah. So it's keep Texas clean.
Okay, that's a good one.
Right.
Okay. Who's next?
Well, I'll go now. But this fits into so many of them, the trance states or the whole brain functioning. I noticed when we were out on the ropes course with people, this is a real traditional one that I've used, that when people are walking or doing something and maybe they are feeling a little bit wavy or unsure of their footing, like I'll see that that's starting and I'll say, feel your balance. And that's like a spontaneous trance state because they hear that word and they kind of go, oh, feel my balance. And then they take a few more steps. And then maybe their own internal dialogue or, their pattern or something will start up. And then I'll go, oh, feel your balance. That's good, Jane. Feel your balance. Oh. It's like they get right into that. And there's a couple of times in class with people in yoga class where we'd be doing a posture and somebody might say, oh, I can't do this, my arms are weak, or I don't feel like my back's weak. So the next time like that person is exerting, like stretching their arms out or something, I'll say, feel the strength in your arms now, and I'll see them like instead of kind of like all of a sudden, so that's whole brain functioning and spontaneous trance states.
Okay, so something that you could do.
Still on the wrong one.
The one, it's the first or the second or the third exercise there.
I did them all. I thought we were doing the
Okay. something that Jenny could have done, like if she's seeing somebody who's up there on the ropes course, okay, just as an example of something in life, this person's up on the ropes course and they're finding it difficult. You can see that they're a little bit out of balance and they're stopped. Now, what could you do to move this person?
Can I ask them to see the outcome?
You can use a conjunction of time. As you feel your balance, you will be able to take a step in.
Well, these people that I was referring to this, they weren't stopped. They were moving, but they were like shaky with their movement.
As you feel your balance, you'll be able to continue to.
Yeah, continue moving. Like if the person was like stalling, okay, then you could say, as you feel your balance, continue moving along the wire. Anyway, the conjunction, the way that you join things together, is good. To join things together and to add something on that the person's naturally going to be doing, actually, is good to do that.
I think that I actually do say, as you take your next step, you'll feel your balance.
Okay, so your kid's just about to go outside, okay, and there's something on the floor, and you might say, and as you get up to go outside, because you know the child's going to be going outside, pick up your stuff. Okay, so it's pasted to something that the child's already going to be doing. And so it's more likely that the two will be joined, actually, rather than saying, pick up your stuff.
Why is that doesn't sound like a command? If you say, pick up your stuff.
Yes.
I think, I'm like most people, I have a contrary reaction to a command. But if you state it in a...
Yes, exactly.
Because it's
You
linked
stated
to something
into an
you're doing
as
already. It's just kind of a little piggyback with it.
Haste.
Yeah.
And it's kind of... Yes, it allows the listener choice, and it allows the listener not to hear the embedded command, pick your stuff up, right?
As we wait for the
That's a good one to do with kids. We're doing this, actually.
Feel great about yourself.
What?
Something.
Yeah, go ahead.
As something's occurring to you, as you're in the salon, something's happening to your body. As this is happening, while this is happening, you can feel something else.
While you're waiting for your hair to dry,
You can feel great about yourself. I do that a lot. You can feel great about yourself is like the person's not feeling great about themselves. That wouldn't work. The person would be reminded of not feeling great about themselves, and that John had recognized this.
You can think about how orange you can be in a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay, as you're sitting down...
You want to call your hair to the permanent, isn't that why you don't like it?
You can
You're sitting
continue
there
to enjoy
going,
the experience.
Yeah, so let's say the person was having to wait for a hair wash or something like that. You could say, as we're waiting for the washing, maybe you'd like to sit down and read something for a little while or something like that. Or
relax and enjoy.
Sit down and relax and enjoy the moment while we're... Okay. All right, who?
I'll go.
Okay.
It's along the lines of what y'all were saying about the positive. That's what I've been working on. I work at a women's shelter. So I'm giving you background. With women and their children, battered and abused women. Anyway, what I've been working on with them is teaching them how to phrase things positively. And so when I hear them working with their kids and what they're telling them not to do, like we talk about what you would rather hear. Instead of saying, shut up, what would you rather hear? So they're working on that slowly.
Oh, excellent. That's good one. And have you led them to this understanding about whole brain functioning as a result of this?
Pardon?
Have you led them to this the understanding of whole brain functioning as a result of doing this?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's a good idea to link that in when you can to the people that are there, so they're understanding. Oh, you mean if I say shut up, I'm actually creating limited brain functioning in my children, and you will say yes, to some degree you are doing that. And what would it be? So what would it be that you could say something in a way that the child's understanding, and that you are leaving the child with whole brain functioning? You might say, allow a little quiet for a moment, so mum can talk about this or whatever. So mum can talk about this or something, which is the affirmation of what we want. Okay, so it'd be good to fit that in about what creates whole brain functioning, and you can say simply, interest is in need of being there before we're exiting into the front of the brain to plan and sequence things. Okay. What about anything else that you've been doing? Give us any other example of someone that you've worked with to create whole brain functioning.
Joseph gave a nice reframe for battered women. Women in transition or something.
Yeah. We're always talking about domestic violence. And I think we should say domestic harmony. Because, along the lines of what you're saying, you have to visualize what it is before you can figure out what you don't want. It's like they're constantly reinforcing that violence, domestic violence. You see that violence before you can see what the harmony is.
Okay. Excellent. You are like gold, I think, in where you're working. Yeah.
It's hard, but
yeah.
Rewarding, huh?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen any ads lately that violate whole brain functioning? Okay, the one thing that does violate whole brain functioning a little bit is the battered women's, what is it, a battered women's association or something? Actually, if there's a way, I don't know whether you can do this, maybe there is something, in fact, which is not quite about being battered, but actually about being in transition. Or something, anyway, that might be something that you could do with
Women's empowerment clinics. Friday.
Return to feeling.
Women in transition I like that one a little better than women in empowering or something. But women in transition, but there's probably something there. Okay. All right, who would like to go now? Yeah, great.
It says, do you feel the need to talk? Sometimes we all do, but we all are different and have different needs. That's why there is the network, the professional psychotherapy network, and so it's changed it to talking about a problem works. We can help you net out the answer at the network.
Okay, that's excellent, because actually what's happened there is, even though you've mentioned problem, right, there possibly is a way of stating something in the positive, and sometimes a person totally is problematically orientated, and we can paste that person by using that word problem. You can use any word. Once you're having this understanding of what creates whole brain functioning, that's the main thing, that's all, and that we have the ability to use the words and habits that are out there to facilitate whole brain functioning to occur. The one thing about this is it's about difference, isn't it? About differences, actually, rather than the possibility of the similarities, what it is that we like, what it is that we have in common.
I don't know, that's probably why they do it, which doesn't make it whole brain to do, but to connect a need in the customer. So if the customer didn't feel like he had a problem, he wouldn't feel like he had a need. But maybe that's not the way to do it.
But anyway, I think to bring more language of whole brain functioning into something, which is what you've done there. Okay. Do you have another one there?
The other one's it's just a newspaper article.
Okay. Was that the ionophoric theory? Did you go through and look at positive and negative? Do you want to do that one?
Okay. Do you want to read the way it was?
Yeah.
Gus Majalis and other members of the Board of Regents are balking at implementing the Taylor Plan, which provides free college tuition at state universities to needy students who qualify. The board wants the money to fund the program up front and are threatening to axe the Taylor Plan over Governor Romer's strenuous objections. The board should be bending over backwards to get the program off the ground. Instead, the Taylor Plan seems to be less important than the number of football tickets Regents are given every season. So it just sort of rewrote the whole thing.
Yeah.
The Taylor Plan is one which provides money to give free college tuition at the state universities to needy students who qualify. Gus Majalis and the Board of Regents are balking at implementing the plan by requiring the money to fund the program to be put up now. Having the board support the program with as much enthusiasm as receiving football tickets would speed up implementing the Taylor plan.
Well, you could get a job editing.
Yeah,
you really did.
Yeah, you really. That's excellent. That's very good.
I listened to that.
That's very good. Yes. No.
What was the topic?
That's excellent.
Yeah, good connection of football tickets.
Right. Yes. Well, I really felt the difference. I really sensed that, there was something that was much more about flow in yours, and the other one was really chopped up, and there was a version of it, axed, and
The person that wrote the article originally, I guess he was trying to sway anybody.
He was just complaining. He wasn't trying to have an outcome.
And what you did was turn into results.
very good. That was excellent. Okay. All right, who else?
I've got a couple of things.
Okay.
One thing is over here on Highway 12, you've probably seen it in the traveling this area, there's a billboard that says, "Sin will prevail. Jesus Christ is Savior." And every time I see that, I cringe. I want to be away from the sign, away from the people that put up the sign. It's bright red letters. And on the flip side of that, and I'm thinking sin, it just hits a strange spot in me. And then on the other side, it has the AIDS plague is upon us. I literally want to go around. I'm not attracted to the religion or what the message I assume they're trying to get across is Jesus will save you from the plague and sin. And I don't feel that way at all. I feel totally repelled by what they're trying to achieve. I don't know why they spend their money.
But trying to make it feel different.
But sin will prevail. I mean, what message, okay?
Yeah.
That's totally backwards to what.
So what could you say?
You might focus on the peace of the Lord.
Yes, you could say love wins out. That could be positive affirmation. That people could be driving past and see this positive affirmation, and then have like if it was Christian, Jesus saves, or something or other, and have a positive affirmation there rather than
Something that attracted you to their concept. The second thing, the way that I've been using whole brain functioning is with my child, and I've tried to. Virginia told me to tell her things like "That's brilliant," "You're brilliant," instead of "That's brilliant." So I've been using that. And I noticed that I've tried to work on not saying, "Don't touch that," or "Don't do that," or "That's not, get away from that." I've tried to steer her direction, "Let's come over here," or "This is for you to play with." And it's been working really good. But this is something I could use some help with. Yesterday, we had major fit in the store, in half an hour, 45 minutes. And at the end of the time, I was saying, "I am going to give you something to cry about." And I had no positive way to control this child. And I hate to just go beat the hell out of her. That's what I felt like doing. Not really. But I really felt that her violence and temper tantrum and making a scene, and there was no reason for it, and all the energy it was creating and being focused towards us.
Okay. You know something? Always, whenever a kid's really bawling and really just throwing a tantrum or something like that, there is something in the way the child has thought that has led to this. And you want to know something? If you and I thought about things in the same way as is it a she?
Yes.
What's her name?
Leanna.
If you and I had thought about things in the way Leanna was thinking about things, we also kind of would be throwing a tantrum probably. So actually, something happened the other day. Someone really was going to go over and see their friend, this young child, and we were unable to get over there. It would have meant 2-hour drive, and it was getting dark, and so we were unable to go over there. And anyway, so Simon, this kid's name is, he really was upset that he wasn't able to go, and he kind of was throwing a little bit of a tantrum, and his parents were kind of trying to quell the tantrum. And I just said to Simon, "Oh dear Simon," I said, "that's a shame you're not able to see your friend. I know you really wanted to see your friend today." And he went, he was listening to me because I was speaking about what it was he was upset about, and I was marking that out. And I said, and then I said to him, you know something, we're going to make sure that you're able to see your friend when next you come into town. And then I explained to him that, it would take us an hour to go over there now, and it would take us an hour to get back, and within, about half an hour it's going to be dark. So I explained it to him, exactly what it was that was there. So it's a good idea for us, as much as we can pace what it is that's the child's experience is.
But what if, like for this example,
the
kid had spent the weekend with her grandmother, and the grandmother had totally, what they do, which is great. The kid wanted her way, and she's a very strong-willed child. And I heard what upset me about the situation, because I just ignored her the first 30 minutes, just going through the store. She was screaming her guts. I was like, go ahead.
Okay, so actually, you see, now this is the thing, you see, if you ignore what it is that's happening, that's not communicating with her. We're in need of recognising that she's upset a little. And I would say, oh, Granny gives you everything, doesn't she? And you really love her the way she gives you everything, or whatever it is, because you're pacing what it is that's there.
Books say, ignore them. Or other books say, everybody, there's no satisfiable answer to me in any of the child books that I've read for what to do, because there was no reason for this child to be upset. She simply got carried away.
But you see, I know, yes.
But I was not in a position to do anything about the reason. I had things that I had to do. And she has to learn that sometimes she has to go along with the program, and she's not learning that. And I don't know how to teach her that, but I can't keep, like I told the girl at the checkout, she said, God, what's wrong with the kid? I said, she's screaming, she wants to be held. I can't hold her. I'm writing a check. And I said, I'm sorry that she has to learn this lesson while y'all here, but I don't know what else to do. And I can say to her, okay, we're just going to be here for a minute, and it's all nice and practice, but after 30 or 45 minutes of total hysteria, now we're up to, it's ridiculous. I wanted to let her out so she could do it on the floor. And I need a more positive way, because I've been able to direct her on things that aren't volatile. It's been very easy, and she shifts her attention. But these and David and I both.
I think all parents understand that sometimes kids are absolutely going to jump and scream and yell and kick and just do all kinds of things, and that we're in need of supporting the child, and that this relationship truly is something that's need to be developed, and not any one thing that could be implemented like that. Sometimes the kid is going to kick and scream and jump and yell for a while and throw a tantrum, and that we're in need of supporting this somewhat. The child is learning that this is not leading anywhere so much, that there's another way of going about things, and that the best thing truly is to think of our own experience. If you really are upset about something, the best way that Dave can be with you truly is to understand what it is that you're upset about. If there's a way for him to understand that and to pace that in you, this subsides the thing itself.
Well, it was really scared me, because I heard my mother and my father saying to me, I'm going to give you something to cry about, And I heard myself say that when I got in the car, and I said to her when I got in the car, we cannot tolerate this kind of behavior in the store. Now we're going to the grocery. This kid does, she doesn't have language to understand, but I try to tell her, we're going to the grocery store, and we're going to act like the good baby that you are, and you're going to cooperate, and we're going to get this done. And I kept trying to talk to her in that positive way. And we went to the store, and it was fine. But it frightened me that I wasn't able to cope.
Well, anyway, I think,
what to do to cope. Next time I will try to. What do you do? Just pick them up and hold them? That's what they want.
Actually, something. If you are knowing what it is that she's upset about, if you are knowing what it is, if you can find out what it is that she's upset about, you can say, "Oh, honey, what is it? What is it that you're upset about? What is it that you want? Oh, honey, what is it that you want?"
She doesn't talk that well yet.
Oh, okay. She's very. She does understand everything that you say to her.
This.
Yeah.
And
she understands the tone of voice.
She's really got
okay.
my hand. I couldn't.
Ginger's got something, and then Alec.
We've been through many similar experiences, and I find that I need to remember that these babies don't have logic. So we can't use logic to convince them to conform to what we want. And I've decided that with Aaliyah, when she's in the struggle of making her needs known, that this is the most important thing right now, that she is asserting her power. And it usually comes at a time when we have our own plan and program and we're rushed a little bit and we're not paying attention. So they'll pick a time like that to take a stand. Mm-hmm. And I lost every time. Either I won the power struggle and I felt like, yes, I'm mother here. Then I figured I still lost because my daughter learned that she doesn't have any power. And yes, we can't give in to children all the time, but yes, but
that's excellent in everything.
The main thing that she needs to be doing at this time is gaining a sense of power. And I'm trying to think of how to state this positively because it's a phrase I learned in a book that I had to remember all the time. An act of defiance is not disrespectful because they don't know respect. But we interpret it as disrespectful. And so then the power struggle sometimes ensues. So what I do is I do give her my undivided attention. I get down on her level and look at her and hug her and comfort and ease, and then I realize that there is something that she really does need to communicate here.
I think we're very still. I'm going to jump right in. When we pick her up, when she's throwing this fit, that she's going to find that she can achieve results, positive results, through what we feel is a negative action. A bit of anger, a bit of temper. And that we feel that if we pick her up that time, that we're going to condone it and create a... She'll see it.
It's your logic. Is it negative that she gets her needs met when she...
Okay, there's something that's here, and I think that's excellent too. I mean, not so much that there's a kind of a general rule, right? But that sometimes, of course, you are letting her know a little bit that kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum is not something that that people enjoy, and so there is a tiny bit of this that is giving her the message that it's not such a social thing to be screaming and yelling and throwing a tantrum in the store. That's so. But anyway, so it's excellent that there's no general rule. I think the one general rule that I could say truly is that we're in need of supporting. Always, whatever it is that we do, that she's sensing that you support her.
You could just get on her level and say, you really need to scream now, or you're screaming loudly now. And just let her know, I'm totally here with you, you're really screaming loudly.
Yes, actually the one thing that was really good is getting down to the level.
We do that. We do that too. She goes, okay, I've done it, now what?
You're really screaming loudly.
Okay, Johnny says that we probably should have a bit of a break, but does everybody want to...
Yeah. You might check back on the patterns of behavior and see if it occurs over and over at the same point. It may be that you had a bad experience at the supermarket when you were pregnant for the child, and that this may be carried through because the learned experience starts from the date of conception. And the feelings that the mother gets, they are all good, they're transmitted to the baby. It may be that you had a bad experience at the supermarket when you were pregnant for her. Or it may be that she had a bad experience earlier when she was first born. And you can deprogram her from that. Or it may be a certain set of circumstances that exist that cause her to cry. And if you change those circumstances, then you change her pattern of behavior. Try it.
That's very, very good for us to recognise that something here may have developed its meaning truly from something that was outside the event itself. That's very good.
I can't grocery shop. I can't do anything. So it started to happen on a regular basis.
Actually, just something on that. Let's just say that there was a bit of an issue with money, especially during the pregnancy, and that when you would go into the shop, you were thinking of the things that you needed, but then there was some degree of disharmony or a little bit of tension that was occurring actually in the shop. It's possible then that baby does become conditioned somewhat to the environment of the shop and some degree of anxiety about being there.
It's funny, my mother with 3 young girls quickly learned how to program us to have a blissful experience in the supermarket. But she'd start half an hour, an hour before she'd say, and we're going to go to the supermarket this afternoon, and it's going to be so much fun. You know how you girls love to go to the supermarket, and then we'd be like, and by the time we were there, it was like, here we are at the supermarket, even though it was just kind of like, shopping. It was always really exciting because we were getting new things, and it was just like picking out the peanut butter. She'd say, which one do you girls think? Which peanut butter? We'd go, that one,
This is, I broke my pattern this time because usually every time I go to the store I buy her something. And I read in this book the other day. This is why I hate reading books. Every time I read these books, it's just stupid. But anyway, he said, don't give your kids anything in the store. It teaches them instant gratification. And that's screw up, our whole baby.
Oh, give them a choice. Pick which one it was. You want the Skippy or the Jif?
And this
The message there is give them anything in the store.
Yeah.
Because the telling is not experience. So the message is really give them anything in the experience. That's what you got in the book. Right, David?
It's about giving them anything from the store. And the main thing is truly we need to be with each other like we are ourselves, not any different. And that's true that sometimes when you're in the store you do decide to get something from inside the store and it's right close. And doing something that's unnatural, it would be unnatural, to be doing something that's not about that, actually. So,
Thank you, Father.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. I know Tessa spends about 20 minutes.
Okay, well, it's going to be lunch break or just...
Is it lunch break?
Lunch will be served in about 15 minutes. We need
All right.
time to set up the kitchen.
Okay.
All right, 10 minutes.
Well, shall we hear one more person while that, and then we'll take the
Oh, I don't know. I saw some people moving a little bit. And,
Well, I'll certainly use this time to get the television totally ready to put this tape in and see ourselves. In a way that we can all enjoy.
In a way that we can all enjoy.
As you take your break.
That's what I'm relaxing on this break.
As you sit down and feel the warmth of the air in your skin, grow new brain cells.
Do we really grow new?
Absolutely, always.
Alice, can you explain to me the ion-4 theory?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Down for 3 minutes, how many words?
I've heard of words. Those are words, yes. That was very beautifully. And they were spoken. Yeah. And you're a person.
I'll read it.
So if I say I will not, that has a little more positive about it. No, I won't. Say it.
The Japanese. You have a transition. You have a dark step down. Porch. You have the darkest transition. And if you're in a room, looking for the walls of the room are white. That's what's contrast. So the most dark contrast would be you have black walls and you have a window and you're looking at the outside with no hanging. You know, it'd be like this. So what I wanted to show you tonight, when we go through the 2 is about light. Whenever I'm designing light, anything, whether it be a residence or a restaurant or a hotel or a business or anything, what I go for is that you see the result of the light source and not the source. What you get is the bounce light, which is always mitigated. When you see the point source, you've got the light hitting you directly, and your eyes are trying to adjust to 2 different things at the same time. And if you're attempting to relax, there's a lot of that going on in this room. Your whole endeavor here is letting go of relaxing. The light source is balanced. We support that.
Also understanding the relationship with 4 and 5:30 is the relaxation.
Yeah. And then, we got time to